We're at the Kendal Mountain Festival 2019 with Captain Bob Shepton. How are you today, Bob?
How's my day?
Yeah.
Yes, very good. It's of some interest, and at last I have seen the film Undiscovered, and found that I was in it, which was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah,
but,
what were you doing in the film?
Well, I was, it so happened that these star climbers came in my boat to sail across to St Kilda, and it so happened that it was a fairly rough passage, so it was a very steep learning curve for them. But they did very well, as you'd expect. Climbers do change gear very quickly in that respect.
So it was me and Dave MacLeod. We just had Dave in, and he gave his side of the story as to how we did on the boat.
Right.
But
okay.
from a skipper's perspective, how did we do?
Oh, you did fine. Yes, I have to say that. But I've always found this, that climbers are into adventure and challenge. And so this is quite a natural habitat for them. Okay, so it's a different discipline, if you like, or a different thing that they're doing. But they're not fazed by it because they're quite used to challenging situations. And it was quite a challenging situation. The Atlantic bit from the Sound of Harris across to St Kilda itself was pretty stormy, really. Quite the Atlantic can get rough, and it did get rough, but they coped very well with this. So yeah, it was good, and it was rather nice to think that these star climbers could now add sailing to their CVs.
I'm not sure I can add sailing to my CV.
May I tell them about the life jacket?
Yeah.
There was a rather amusing incident in the middle of all this chaos with the wind and waves, where I'm not quite sure why Nat was at the end of the boom, but in doing something with the boom, she caught the lanyard of the life raft, which frankly immediately inflated, and there she was standing rather like a penguin.
Yeah, it kind of, if you imagine one of the blood pressure bands in the doctor's surgery, going around your neck and your entire body, that's what it felt like.
Yes, I'm sure it did, because it doesn't actually, when it inflates like that, it doesn't actually squeeze you quite hard, doesn't it? Yes. I've had that with the automatic life jackets too. I remember a stormy passage going down to the Canaries once, and just simply waves coming over the top and hitting the person in the cockpit with the life jacket on. They again blew up like penguins and came down and got another life jacket.
I can imagine. Do you think, you've won Yachtsman of the Year, Piolet, you won lots of awards for your sailing, but also you're a keen climber and explorer yourself. Tell us a bit about your climbing around Portland.
Well, yes, I was very, very fortunate. I learnt my climbing in the Royal Marines when I did the Cliff Leaders course in the Commando Cliff Assault Wing, as it was called then. Nail boots and this sort of thing. And it gave me a passion for life, really, from then onwards. And I was just fortunate in that I was the curate, this sort of an assistant minister in a church in Weymouth. And I thought, I knew there were limestone cliffs around, but I thought, limestone's far too loose, we can't climb this. And I happened to read an article by Joe Brown in one of the climbing magazines where he'd done some climbs at Malham and other limestone cliffs in Derbyshire or wherever. And I thought, wow. Well, there's lots of limestone around here, and started to climb out. I used to take the church youth club off to climbing, and they got quite good. And we first of all made some new routes at Lulworth, which hadn't been developed at all, and then we went to Portland and started on the east side where it's sort of one pitch climbs, a bit shorter. Found the rock was pretty good. Managed to do a lot of new routes, but none of them had been done. And then with great courage went over to the west side, thinking that must be pretty loose. But in fact, again, it wasn't nearly as loose as we thought, and we were able to do quite a lot of climbs on that side as well. Or new routes. I was saying to Dave this morning that I can't quite understand why there isn't more thirst for doing new routes in Scotland. Because that to me was the epitome, the real enjoyment that you were actually doing, I suppose because there was more challenge and it was new and hadn't been done before, so that was the best thing of all. I would like to just add that we did all the routes by trad climbing.
Yeah.
Because I was rather disappointed when I got back from sailing around the world to find that they had elected to use bolts at Portland and turn it into a sport climb. In fact, Ken Wilson, bless him, who was always very outspoken, said to me, "Hey Bob, you must go and complain and stop them using these bolts." But I'm afraid I didn't have the energy to start a long controversy about it. So anyhow, they did say that they would keep our trad routes as trad routes. I'm not actually sure they quite stuck to that, because one of my favourite Wall's End Wall, down on the Wall's End Cliff on the west side there, I did read somewhere, I think, that they had put a couple of bolts in somewhere. But hopefully they kept the others at trad routes.
So after you climbed a lot yourself, then how did you get involved with the Wild Bunch trips with Nico Favresse?
Oh, well, yes, that is a story in itself, and I must try and be brief, but I suddenly got this email. We've just done some routes on Mount Asgard and Baffin, and we would like to do some big walls in Greenland next year. Do you know where there are any? And I wrote back rather cheekily and said, well, I do know where there are some big walls, but I'm not going to tell you where they are because I want them for my own expeditions. But it so happens I have left the boat in Greenland for the winter. What about you coming this year? Oh, well, we'll see whether we can raise the finance. They could raise the finance, and they came out, and that's how it all started. But we'd never actually met before they came out to Greenland. We'd seen each other on Skype. So, again, as they got out of the taxi from the airport, by this time I had the boat back in the water and ready to go, as it were, I could just see their minds working. What's it going to be like for 3 months in the small confines of a boat with a crusty old Scottish priest?
It is quite a small boat.
It is quite a small boat.
And I think they were an even bigger team than we were.
Well, that's right. There were 5 of us on board. Yeah, and but it all worked out splendidly, and they're best friends now. We're best friends together. I mean, and it's been just great to do a couple of expeditions with them. Yeah.
Have you got any more trips planned? Or?
Well, unfortunately, my wife is beginning to suffer from Alzheimer's, so I've had to draw in, as it were, and can't really be away for 2 or 3 months at a time. I did have to give up 2 very attractive offers this summer to accompany people up to Iceland and Greenland and so forth, but no, I've had to knock that on the head. So I just go around talking about it now.
Yeah, you might as well. You've got plenty of stories to tell.
Yeah, well, I do have rather a lot of stories to tell, yes, that's true.
Well, thank you, Bob. I hope you enjoy the rest of the festival.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
For the privilege of being interviewed.